Welcome back, everybody. With the emergence of mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, other socialist-adjacent candidates have come out of the woodwork in other states, such as Omar Fatah of Minneapolis. It's a surprising turn of events. Minneapolis's Democratic Farmer Labor Party endorsed Fatah for mayor in favor of sitting Democrat Mayor Jacob Frey, who has held that position since 2018. Now, Frey and his team have decided to appeal the decision, and Frey mentioned on X that the decision should be made by the whole city and not a handful of delegates. I think that sounds fair. So why do these outwardly socialist candidates seem to be at the forefront of the Democrat Party now? Joining us now to discuss this is AMAC's Editor-in-Chief Shane Harris. Shane, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've seen a lot of Democrats out there who would like to say that this is not happening in their party and they're not being taken over by socialists. But if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it kind of looks like Democrats are looking more like socialist ducks.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you have the Zoran Mamdani phenomenon in New York City, right? And a bunch of Democrats were quick to say, basically, this is just a one-off. This is not who we are. People were kind of slow to embrace him. But now that you have Omar Fatah in Minneapolis, well, now that's a pattern. Now that's a trend. And so we saw for a while after 2020 when Democrats almost lost the House, and then 2024 when they got wiped out, there was this moment where Democrats kind of looked inward and they were like, man, are we going too far left? Are we becoming too socialist? And apparently they've looked in the mirror and said the answer is no, because you have all of these candidates now who are rising up, and you have people like AOC and Bernie Sanders who are embracing these openly socialist candidates who are calling for basically a government takeover of housing, $20 minimum wage, all of these openly socialist policies. And so it doesn't bode well for a party that just got completely rejected for its extremism at the ballot box last year. It's easy to say, well, it's just happening in these urban areas. It's just these progressive centers. But it always starts there, and then it spreads to the rest of the party. And so I think that's what we might start to see with the broader Democrat Party moving forward.
It seems to me that a potential civil war, a fight over the heart of this party may be ahead, because at some point the traditional base, the traditional funders are going to get tired of getting swamped in these elections because of the far left nature. Do you see that moment coming soon, or do you think this drags out a little bit longer and the AOC impact the AOC Bernie Sanders impact kind of carries on for a while?
Yeah, you know, I think what you mentioned about some of the traditional donor base getting tired of this, it's already happening. We're already seeing that the DNC is way behind on its bills, literally can barely keep the lights on. And so we're already starting to see that effect. And, you know, you mentioned earlier how the Minneapolis Democrat Party endorsed Omar Fatah over the sitting mayor, Jacob Frey. That's kind of a bad omen for the party if Jacob Frey is considered too moderate for at least some Democrats in Minneapolis. Because remember, if you rewind the clock just 5 years, Jacob Frey, this is the guy who was a hero of the Black Lives Matter movement, who was literally bending the knee to BLM. And so the fact that now he's considered as, you know, too moderate for the Democrat Party, that's a bad sign for where the party's headed. And I think there's going to be a lot of disillusioned Democrats who aren't too happy with it.
Yeah, by the way, Democrats only raised half as much as Republicans in the last month. I've never seen a 2-to-1 advantage in a race like that.
That's incredible.
They're in trouble on the fundraising side already.
Yeah, and how does a party double down on what voters roundly rejected in November? Is it just the party elites who are doubling down and they are leaving their voters behind?
Yeah, so I think the big problem for Democrats is that they exist in this echo chamber, right? For the last 20, 30, 40 years, they've been incredibly successful at infiltrating and taking over major American institutions, whether that's the corporate media or academia or the deep state, the federal bureaucracy. And so what has happened is that they basically exist in this world where the most radical elements of the party are only talking to themselves. And so I really think that they just don't understand how out of touch they've become with everyday Americans. And that's why they're so shocked every time they lose, because when they turn on CNN or MSNBC, or they go listen to a college lecture or whatever it may be, all they're being told is how popular their policies are and how evil the other side is. And so they almost can't even fathom the idea that they might be wrong. And so that's a very dangerous place to be for a political party when you can't really see what's going on and you just see everything through rose-colored glasses, when you can't see reality for what it is.
Yeah. Shane, Harry Houdini seems to have come to Washington. He made the House disappear today. He just suddenly left. They're in, they're gone. They were going to have votes on Thursday. Gone. The budget bills aren't done. A lot of the people's work aren't done. How disappointing is it for the AMAC base, all of those who were expecting some more work to be done, to see Mike Johnson adjourn and get out of town?
Sure. Yeah. So it is disappointing on some level. But on the other hand, if you look over the past few weeks, the string of victories that we've seen out of the House, I mean, what Speaker Johnson pulled off just before the 4th of July holiday, passing President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. I mean, I don't think that even many people on the Republican side thought that he would get that done. And then after that, to pass, a string of bills, whether it be the Genius Act, the Halt Fentanyl Act, so a series of legislative wins, the rescissions bill, of course. And so what Speaker Johnson, I think, has done over the past few weeks, because remember, when he came in as Speaker in 2023, there were a lot of people who really doubted if he could even hold the House GOP caucus together. But he's actually done a pretty admirable job of that with just a few seat majority. And so I think that he's earned a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. That being said, our leaders in Congress, they always have to keep earning our trust. And so I think that he's got a big job ahead of him to avoid a government shutdown. Certainly, I think he would be the first to tell you they're behind where they would like to be. But he continues to strike an optimistic note that the House will come back and be able to get government funding done. And of course, House members do have an important job to go home and sell the one big beautiful bill to their constituents, explain all the great things that legislation is going to do. And so disappointing, yes, but for the moment, I think it's still worth having a little faith in Speaker Johnson to get the job done.
Yeah. Hey, and maybe they'll feel the crunch and they'll get it done even faster. Shane, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to take this opportunity to remind all of our audience that you can get 5 full years of AMAC membership for just $35 by going to amac.us/justnews.
Best money I ever spent. I'm a 5-yard carry member.
You're not even old enough.
I'm proud of it. Yes, I am, and I love it. By the way, you don't have to be a senior to join this group. I love it.
Oh, well, that's good to know. All right, amac.us/justnews. Everybody, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.